What's up, YouTubers? So, drinking some Pepsi here. I'm not drinking beer in case you hear me take a sip. It's a little too late for beer. Anyways, I wanted to shoot a video talking about something that's really important to me before I share this other video that I shot. And I know this is kind of cryptic and you guys won't understand what the hell I'm talking about until you see it, but I think it'll all make sense in time. So one of the things I wanted to share with you guys is my workshop in a project that I've been working on for literally the last 10 years of my life. And when I say working on it, I mean 12,000 hours over 9 years. And I say 9 years because the last year I kind of really stopped working on my project. And that project is my shop. And I got a video coming out that's going to show you all about it, or at least, most of it. But until that comes out in a day or two, in the meantime, I want to talk about what I call a 10-year plan, okay? So let's get into that. So now I don't have fancy graphics or anything like that, but hey, I'll share. I got a gnome on, I think, an alpaca and a snail, so have that. So anyways, I'll get right to the point of it. Before I shared all this information on my shop, I wanted to talk about the 10-year plan. And that is how important every decade of your life is, okay? We only have arguably anywhere, I don't know what the average life expectancy is, maybe 50, 60 years. I know in my family, men don't generally live past 60, so that's not good for me. Maybe your family, you're gonna live to 100, awesome, congratulations. But when you look at it, if you break down your life into 10-year spans, you can really see how important 10 years is. Say you live till 70, right? First 10 years of your life, worthless, right? You can't do anything. You're basically a sponge that's getting yelled at for peeing behind your parents' couch, right? Well, you can't do anything with the first 10. The second 10, by the end of it, when you hit 20, you're pretty much also still useless. And to any of you younger people that watch my channel, I'm not saying you're useless, but trust me, when you get older, you'll understand what I'm saying. But you don't really have any life experiences. You barely held down a job. You don't even really understand how the world works at 20. So really that 10 years, yes, it's very important to learn as much as you can, stay in school, kids, trust me. But you don't really start making a difference for yourself until the 20 to 30 and the 30 to 40 year span, and then the 40 to 50. Those 3 decades are the most important in your life, and making the right decisions in those is going to be absolutely critical to set yourself up later in life. And especially, like I said, that 20 to 30, if you make huge mistakes in that, you could set yourself back 10 years, and that's no good, because you might, when all your friends or your family at 40 years old are doing good, it might take you till 50. Well, that's, again, it's not how fast you meet a goal, it's the fact that you made it that really matters, and it's never too late in that respect. But you don't want to be stupid and make a bunch of stupid mistakes when you're 20 to 30 years old. And this video I'm not going to go about, preaching to you guys on how you should live your lives. I'm not that kind of person. You can do whatever you want. I'm just telling you the importance of looking at 10 years as what can I do in that 10-year span to improve everything across the board, okay? To give you an example, what I tell people is, if you can take, say you're 30, if you take the last 10 years of your life, all the way back to 20, and everything in your life is exactly the same, say you're living with your parents, you're working the same job, your education hasn't improved, you haven't saved any more money, you haven't taken any trips, you haven't learned any new languages, I'm running out of fingers here, your existence on this earth in that decade, and you can't say without a doubt that massive changes happened, you're doing something wrong. Now, maybe you're one of those people that at age 20, you're where the average person is at 50, who knows? But I think that if you fall under that category of the last 10 years of your life, nothing has changed, you're probably one of those people who unfortunately got stuck in like the muck of life and didn't improve anything. And you definitely don't want to do that for another 10 years, 20 years. I mean, like I said, you only got 30 years worth of really quality time where your body's held up and you can work and etc. So don't screw around with it. So anyways, back to what I was saying. I share this because there's a couple guys that, I don't know, I hate to say used to be friends with because I care a lot about them, but ultimately I can't change how they view things and what they do on a day-to-day basis. But if you look at the last 10 years of their life, not a single thing has really changed for the better. And I know that maybe you're one of those people that can say that about themselves, or you know someone that is, and how unfortunate that is. And I don't want to see you guys in that situation. And it's not just about how much money you've made, it's did you save any of it? It's not about how many friends you have on Facebook, it's do you actually hang out with good people and do stuff? It's not about, you know, having an education from Harvard or Yale. It's about, did you learn how to do new skills? Like, did you learn something in the last 10 years? Like, you can learn plenty without going to school. I mean, I pretty much taught myself how to TIG weld in the last 10 years and got extremely good at it. And I took one college class in it, okay? So it's not about like any one particular thing. It's about what have you done with your existence here? And if you don't have it, like if you think of it all as buckets, like a bunch of buckets lined up and you threw a penny in each one for every time you learned something new or filled one of them a little bit, and you want those buckets to have a bunch of change in them, every one of them. And if you don't, then there's no better time than right now, buddy, to actually do what I'm saying. So go out and take, I mean, you're on YouTube watching my videos. That's awesome. You're learning stuff. Do that. Learn as much as you can about things. Take overtime at work if it's offered. Save the money. Don't spend it. Try and save money. Put more money in a 401k. And I know, hey, inflation sucks, right? But if nobody else can afford to put money into things, that probably means that everything's going to drop in price, which means you might get a better bargain on your investments. Like it pays off. You know, the person who can afford to invest when nobody else can is the guy who wins in the end. You can quote me on that one. Trust me on that. And, you know, the ups and downs of life, even you look at the Great Depression, didn't last forever. You know, the younger you are when you hit economic, instability, the better off you are if you can afford to invest. And, you know, invest in your education. It doesn't hurt to go to school for at least a couple classes because it looks good on a resume and you might learn something. You know, and try and avoid having as much bad debt as possible. Like when I say invest in yourself, I don't mean go to the mall and buy, you know, $1,500 worth of clothes so you look good. Like, trust me, I mean, if you have a job that requires a suit and tie, hey, I'm not knocking that, do it. But if you're just wearing going out clothes, you know what, maybe you should be thinking about what you can do to learn something rather than going out. And I know that's hard to say because when I was in my early 20s, I kind of wanted to screw off just as much as every other guy, or girl for that matter. But it's very important that you don't waste a whole decade of your life. Now, not to repeat myself, but to go back to what I was talking about, those couple guys, I'll say I'm friends with them. I haven't talked to them in a while, but I do worry about them. And when it comes down to it, I've never met someone who is completely pissed away a decade of their life that is in a good spot in life or that finds a good spot in life. And I've been around the block long enough to know what happens when you aren't responsible for yourself. Like, it's not good. You wind up in prison or dead, and who wants either of those? Like, every one of us deserves better than that. Even, you know, some piece of shit criminal, no offense, he deserves or she deserves better. But at the end of the day, if that's your level of responsibility and you can't handle anything more than sitting in prison, then I guess, hey, it is what it is on that. But I think every one of us can do better than that. And again, I'm not saying that, hey, you don't go out and invest in yourself and your education and do stuff and learn stuff that you're going to wind up in prison. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know, people who do not take responsibility in and make it their friend and they use it as their enemy, those, you know, if you're in that boat, shake that shit off. Start getting your life together. If you have bad debt, child support, liens against everything you have, tickets, whatever, hey, get that crap paid off. Like playing games with the government's money and tickets like that, you don't win. You know, I'll tell you a story really quick about that so you can have a laugh at my expense and my own stupidity, but we can all learn from it. Back when I was 20, a long time ago, I ended up getting a ton of parking tickets because I was stupid and I just ignored it, and I don't know what I was thinking. And then my car ended up getting towed. So that sucked, right? So I went to go pick up my car, and because it was a, you know, clapped out piece of shit, I had to hotwire the car. Well, it's sitting in a toll lot. I paid the money and paid off the tickets and had a court date for all the tickets. I paid the money to get it out, and get this, I tell them, well, it needs to be hotwired to leave. And they were like, oh, well, now that you paid, you can't go in the yard to start it and you can't drive it out. So long story short, the guy who was working a toll lot couldn't figure out how to start it because he was an absolute idiot. I mean, you start it with a screwdriver. How hard is it? Whatever. I had to pay $200 or something to a tow company across from the city toll lot to literally tow my vehicle 45 feet from inside the gate to the street so I could start it. And I learned something in that moment, which was the whole thing was completely preventable had I just parked on the correct side of the street and had a parking permit. So not only did my stupidity cost me that night probably $400 or $500, which, by the way, I was so poor at the time I couldn't pay it, so a buddy of mine had to help me, you know. And that was pretty, you know, I felt ashamed of myself, to say the least. But then I had to go to court, in which I just pled guilty, and they reduced the fines in half, and I paid that off as I could. But the valuable lesson I learned is when you're not responsible, bad things happen, and you're better off just saying, you know what, I was an idiot, and trying to fix it than you are ignoring it and doing nothing. So the moral of the story is, in your life, you're better off just whatever responsible stuff that you need to do to get your life together. And again, I don't think a lot of you that watch my channel are probably doing too bad in that department, but hey, I got to put this out anyways. You know, just, it sucks. It's scary. Take responsibility like it's a bull with horns. Grab it by the horns and tell it what to do. Don't run from it. Because trust me, that bull, you'll tire out long before that bull gives up. So anyways, back to what I was saying. I wanted to share this because I'm going to show you what I did for the last 10 years so that I'm not a hypocrite. Because, you know, anyone can sit here on YouTube and tell you guys all these, you know, you got to do this and that, and then they're all full of shit and they don't do any of it anyways, you know, because what's philosophy if the person saying it is full of shit and doesn't do any of it? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I wanted to share this kind of thought with you. And in the next couple days, I'll have some videos out showing you what I've been up to for the last 10 years. So maybe you guys can get inspired that you're capable of doing so much more than you think, and that you need to pick up tools or whatever and start building stuff, etc. You know, and like I said, I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I'll share you what I've been up to. With that said, thanks for sticking around as always, and I look forward to sharing content with you guys. Thanks.